an avowed intention on their part to actually take him back into their custody, despite the order of...
And DSS arrest suspended Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele.
If laws are not really changed, things will just remain the same.
Nigeria to explore partnership with the United Nations on women and girl child development.
To equally assist in the channelization of other affected areas in Nigeria, Ikoyi, Apamo,
And the Ibadan flood disaster said it has tasked NEMA to reach out to victims.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we continue our conversation on the conversion of petrol-powered vehicles to auto gas.
All right, so following the removal of fuel subsidy in the country, citizens who predominantly own petrol vehicles have been exploring less expensive alternatives to run their vehicles. And as the saying goes, necessity, is the mother of invention. There's been growing public interest in compressed natural gas-powered vehicles, as well as electric cars here in Nigeria.
Now, energy experts are equally expressing similar sentiments. Now, they say converting petrol-powered vehicles to run on compressed natural gas or LPG, that's liquefied petroleum gas, is the new deal. The chairman of the National Gas Expansion Program, Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim, was our guest on Good Morning Nigeria yesterday, and he said that there are about 12,000 gas-powered vehicles in the country.
Absolutely, Kingsley. There were also other energy experts on the program yesterday, and they equally urged that the Presidential Order 3 and 5 be evoked to encourage local manufacturers to fast-track the process of conversion of fuel vehicles to auto gas use.
Well, the experts describe gas as a cheaper, safer, and cleaner auto energy source, and endorsed the mass deployment of CNG or LPG vehicles to all states for public transportation, as well as the establishment of auto gas conversion plants in all states of the Federation.
So the Mohammed Ibrahim, who is chairman National Gas Expansion Program, said on the program yesterday that there has to be a comprehensive program to enable conversion of the over 30 million petrol-powered cars. He called them prime movers in Nigeria. Now, he also described the liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, as the low-hanging fruit that, that can be tapped.
That's right. Now, the guest we had yesterday advised, regardless, that government should reduce import levies and taxes on auto conversion kits in order to expedite the conversion program. Now, but there are also regulatory challenges and laws to govern the process. What are these laws that need to be made, and what investments are required for the establishment of multi-fuel stations, petrol, electric, as well as gas in different parts of the country? And equally of concern, safety and standards of the parts to be used for the conversion process. And how will issues surrounding multiple levies at loading bays for gas trucks be avoided? Now, how experienced also are our mechanics, particularly the roadside mechanics and technicians in this field? What's been done in the area of public awareness and enlightenment?
So, and of course, our indigenous automobile manufacturers, there are also, questions for them. How are they prepared, for this initiative? Are they, ready? Are they ready to do the conversion, to design the vehicles? And of course, there are many, many questions that we will be interrogating today on Good Morning Nigeria. And as you trust us, we will be asking the questions and the answers you can only get from our guests here on this program. Again, it's a conversion of auto gas, the second part, and it's happening live here on our network service of the NTA. And I am Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak, welcoming you once again to the program.
I'm Kingsley Osadola. I join my colleague to also welcome you to the program. We're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority and here in our Abuja headquarters studios. In the course of the program, we have our regular complimentary segments, and this will include newspaper review and business. For now, we take the highlights of the morning news, and here is our colleague who is already seated to give us the highlights. Comfort Amodu.
Good morning, Kingsley and Claire. Good morning, Nigerians. To do much more good and scale up on the performance index for Sustainable Development Goal 5 as it affects women and the girl child, Nigeria will continue to explore partnership with relevant agencies of the United Nations and other international parties or partners. Nigerian First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this when she granted audience to the United Nations delegation in her office on Tuesday. Our senators appealed to the National Emergency Management Agency to reach out to victims of last weekend's flood disaster on the Ibadan Expressway, which is the second busiest road linking the southwest and northern part of Nigeria. The motion raised by Senator Deputy Minority Leader Olalere Kamorudin informed the Senate that the flood caused an erosion that has never been experienced in that axis and also led to huge economic losses. The Senate asked the Federal Ministry of Works to direct the contractor handling the road construction to immediately effect repairs on that portion of the road to avert further damage.
Of other affected areas in Ikire, Ikoyi, Apamo, Abogan communities.
Department of State Services have arrested or rearrested suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, at the court's premises after the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos granted him bail. He was earlier granted bail by Justice Nicholas Owaibo in the sum of 20 million naira after his arraignment.
We saw an avowed intention on their part to actually take him back into their custody, despite the order of courts. In the interests of the rule of law, due process, and democracy in this country, that the court judge should intervene.
Reprieve has come the way of two university trade unions in Nigeria as the National Industrial Court Abuja has given its nod to their registration by the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. The suit opposing their existence was filed by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. Our Trade Union Congress says it is convinced that if public office holders make sacrifices to cut cost of governance, Nigeria will have sufficient resources for social protection to alleviate impacts of fuel subsidy removal on Nigerians. The TUC President Festus Osifo made the suggestion when addressing newsmen on the state of the nation. Nigerian Army will continue to initiate more kinetic means to win the hearts and minds of local communities to effectively support frontline troops to deliver on the assigned mandate of total restoration of peace to the Northeast region. The Commander, Sector 2 Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Landa Sarasu, stated this while briefing Yobe State Governor May Bala Buni about the sector's recent activities within its area of responsibility. And that concludes the news for now. More on Good Morning Nigeria with Claire and Kingsley after this break. Good morning.
gives power. He endowed people with knowledge and capacity to think for our people. We must not fail, and we will not fail. Your children will get more rewards than what you have, because they have a future in this country now.
Hello, darling.
Hi, Grandma.
What did you do this weekend?
Well, on Friday, I went on a science trip with my classmates to see the gorillas in Rwanda. Then, I watched the cup final in London with the family. And on Saturday, my friends and I met up to hunt dragons again. Also, I taught the vacuum cleaner and the TV this new dance everyone's doing. They're really getting into it. And on Sunday, I went to bed watching the world from space. And you? Yes, so Grandma.
With Airtel 5G's lightning fast speeds and seamless connectivity, you won't believe what's next.
Every morning is an opportunity to take your hustle to the next level. Every morning is one day closer to your ambition. So, make every morning count. Cup after cup, morning after morning. Start strong, finish strong. Nescafe.
Have you heard? Momo is turning 12 people who refer the highest number of friends into millionaires in the Momo Refer and Win promo. There is also over 200 million naira up for grabs. How do you win? Dial *671# to open a Momo account if you don't have one. Then select option 6 to refer everyone you know. Yes, I said everyone, because everyone deserves to be a millionaire. Make sure the person you refer opens a Momo account and buys airtime or data of at least 100 naira. The more people you refer, the more cash prizes you win every week, and you increase your chance of becoming a millionaire in the Momo Refer and Win promo. Promo runs from 15th June to 9th August 2023. Momo, better than cash.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and God has kept together as one indivisible entity.
Welcome back, and you're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Let's quickly take a look at the newspaper review, and that will be in just a moment.
Our newspaper reviewer, Abuja, is right here with us on the studio. Chukudi, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Kingsley. How are you today?
Pretty good, and you?
Good morning, Claire.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
That's the boy.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Okay.
All right, we have two newspapers. The New Telegraph is very busy. Oh, you've got three, I understand, yes. All right, that's also the leadership, and we also have Blueprint. Well, let's take the very busy front page of the New Telegraph newspaper. And the lead story says, before we take the other headlines, drama as DSS and prison officials tussled over Emefiele's custody. And the writer says, as CBN governor pleads not guilty to firearm charges, gets 20 million naira bail. The other writer says, DSS disregard for court order threatens rule of law. And that's what lawyers are saying, with details on page 2. You see the photograph on the front page there with the caption, DSS operatives and Ikoyi Correctional Center officials tussling over custody of the suspended CBN governor. These were at the premises of the Federal High Court in Ikoyi, Lagos yesterday. The gentleman whose underdress is being ripped apart is a correctional service official. Now, the second lead story, which is below that photograph, says power of incumbency and thuggery undermining the electoral process. That's according to INEC. IPAC to judiciary, based judgment on law, not technicalities. Tinubu's declaration as president illegal, Atiku tells tribunal. And UNICEF laments high poverty rate in Nigeria, fuel subsidy removal, forex unification hike, pot of jollof rice cost in Nigeria rises, of course, by 13.7%. That's according to a report. Fuel subsidy removal and forex unification hike, that's to say, raised pot of jollof rice cost in Nigeria by 13.7%. Now, fuel price rose by 210% in 1 year. That's according to the Bureau of Statistics. My abductors flogged me with machetes. That's a woman who's recounting her ordeal. Details on page 30. Stop proposed electricity increase now, Senate tells federal government. As reps bar discos from estimated billing and extortion of customers. Now, above the nameplate, borrowers to pay more as CBN raises lending rate to 18.75%, modifies intervention in forex market, and old notes, that's Naira notes, gradually being replaced, according to Shonubi. IMF retains Nigeria's 2023 growth forecast at 3.2%. Remain in PDP, stop meddling in APC's affairs, party's elders advise Jonathan. Governors fight predecessors on assumption of office, that's Akpabio. An uproar in Senate over Oshomole's alleged attack on 9th Assembly. Omishore and Adamu mom after closed-door meeting with Tinubu, president to send ministerial list to Senate in 48 hours. ACF worried over socio-economic challenges facing North. And Fan and Bicotney end 16-year feud, seek aviation sector's growth. Claire.
Thank you, Kingsley. I have two more papers, and quickly, the Blueprint is targeting Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi governorship elections. We are worried by rising spate of violence. That's INEC, and it comes with 3 riders. They're all right in front there. Details of that you can find on page 6. And Kingsley already talked to this picture story in the front page of the Blueprint about the suspended central bank governor Godwin Emefiele and the drama that ensued at the court during his arraignment right there. Now, after 20 million bail, DSS Correctional Center clash, Emefiele re-arrested. There are trending stories at the foot of the paper. Media owners seek fair compensation from Google, Facebook, and others. And federal government mobilizes $500 million for Nigeria's food transformation. And UK court finds Indian lawyer £28 million in Ibori's corruption case. And if you take a look at the down of the Blueprint, court hurts ASU, affirms Konwa, NAMDA as trade unions. I think that should be halt, not hurts. That could be printers, what do you call it again?
Devil?
Printers devil, yeah. So that word should be HALTS, not HURTS as in URTS. I'm not sure now, but that's what it should be. CBN raises interest rate to 18.75%, and ministerial late student bill gets deadline for submission to Senate. These are all trending on the front page of the blueprint. We also have leadership. Leadership is leading with ministerial list ready. Senate leader confirms. Ministerial list ready. Senate leader confirms. Naira free float. Manufacturers labor seek CBN intervention. And then you see the graphic details of the dollar exchange rate from 2019 to 2023. Both official market rate and parallel market rate represented by the graphic there. By the graph there. Now, resident doctors begin indefinite strike. You can find that details on page 17. Job racketeering, reps give FCC, the Federal Character Commission chair, 24-hour ultimatum. Job racketeering, reps give FCC chair 24-hour ultimatum. Now, halt electricity tariff increase, lawmakers tell executive. That's also trending on page 6. Just above the nameplate, UN summit. Nigeria gets $500 million dollar, I beg your pardon, to boost food security, and drama as DSS prison officials clash over MFLS rearrest. Those are the trending stories. Let's bring in Chukwudi Ubuaja to do the needful. Chukwudi.
Thank you.
Which is your pick?
I don't think, I think we should be spared the embarrassment of interdepartmental clashes, you know. The DSS, the prison service, for crying out loud. They have lawyers.
There's no day on this program that Kingsley and I, and indeed...
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We bloody civilians are saying we don't want to hear that. It's an embarrassment. Let them take care of it.
It's even more embarrassing.
Yes.
That the correctional center man, it's a uniform. It's a uniform personnel.
Oh yeah.
That's a disgrace to the uniform.
They do it in uniform, and we don't want to see it as civilians. It tells us these people should get their act together. You know, they have to correct a few things. Okay, police working to rescue abducted Zamfara ladies. This always touches me. When it's banditry, when it's insurgency, the lives that get lost, the lives that actually get disturbed and taken out of their roots, they matter to me. Imagine you're contending with everyday headaches of life, then all of a sudden a group of AK-47 wielding youths, some of them are even elders, just burst onto your premises, and the next thing you're abducted. It takes your life down to ground zero. You're starting again in nothingness. So I pray that the Zamfara authorities, the security officials, and the people themselves, because the police cannot succeed when the people do not cooperate with them. I pray that they all put their heads together to get these women out. I think some 12 million naira being demanded for their release. I pray that we get diligent enough to get the ladies out. It's very important we do. And the IMF is saying somewhere that insecurity will slow Nigeria's growth. They actually have figures here. It said the country's economy will grow 3.2% in 2023 before declining to 3.0% in 2024. Again, tighten up things so that the economy will stand on very firm legs. Healthy economy is what we need for everyone to succeed. But the one that I find a bit disturbing, I'm borrowing the word from the caption itself, threats to Kogi, Bayelsa, Imo polls. Disturbing. INEC. And you ask, is it a cyclical thing? Must we keep on talking about the same thing in all elections? Where is our aptitude toward learning? Are we deaf and dumb? Do we like, hurting ourselves, shooting ourselves in the foot? There are certain things we should not be talking about in this country anymore. INEC is disturbed.
And this is one of them.
Oh, yeah. It is one of them. Because, let me tell you, if you do not, and I speak without bias, if you do not have fair and transparent processes in choosing people to govern, to lead you, you're not going to have a very good run when it comes to, having the benefits of democracy. Africa should start taking these things seriously. It's not just Nigeria. We tend to always find a way of shooting ourselves in the foot. That's the second time I'm using that idiom.
Yes,
because I feel disturbed by it.
Let's quickly move on. We will
Yes, please go on.
This time, yes. Again, CBN is raising interest rates to 18.7%.
Well,
now the impact of this, go ahead.
Yes, the impact of this, my economics is not very, very good, but when interest rate rises, you begin to ask, what amount of money am I going to have to execute the project that made me go borrow money in the first place? And again, it's even the fact that banks hardly give you money over a long time for you to do something productive. That should worry you more, not even the interest rate. Banks are fond of giving you money they want you to return just within 6 months or 1 year. You go to these economies in the Western world, because you can get a loan that lasts some 5 years, some 10 years tenure.
I'm as rusty as you are, if not worse, in terms of economics. But I know that the more we increase these interest rates or these monetary policies, just to check inflation, the higher our inflation rate now has moved, to 22 point something percent.
Yes.
So
it looks set to climb higher.
Exactly. So it would appear that all the efforts that had been put in place earlier on has not really checked or done the magic. So why don't we look elsewhere? Look at some other policies. I don't know. Kingsley, you want to?
That's not the issue I want to comment on. I just want to remind us that there was a time in our country when there was what was known as State Security Detention of Persons Decree number 2. It was issued in 1984. It was a dust-up of an earlier decree that was issued when the country was under emergency rule. Under that decree, you could be arrested and detained for any period of time, and the courts were ousted from inquiring into the reasons why you had been held, nor passing an order for you to be released. And rights activists argued that, look, that was the greatest violation of liberty of the individual, and therefore an affront on the rule of law. And the rule of law is cardinal to democracy. To democracy. Nigerians will also remember that about 30 or so years ago, Dr. Olu Onoguruwa, who was then Attorney General of the Federation, refused to sign any of those detention orders under Decree 2. And of course, they got removed from office. And that decree was then modified, granting powers to the Inspector General of Police to also issue detention orders. So he could be detained for periods of up to 6 months.
I remember Gandhi for him telling him he was walking into a trap by accepting the appointment.
Well, that was when he accepted the appointment in 1993.
Yes.
So when you are in a democracy, the rule of law is cardinal. And the Constitution also stipulates the periods for which you can detain a person, before you can arrest and detain a person, and you take him to court. In other words, you have your charges ready. And if a court issues a lawful order, it is part of the rule of law for that order to be obeyed. I think that these are the things that you were talking about, the incident that occurred yesterday and the photograph that we are seeing on the front pages. Sometimes these lessons need to be taught. We have a National Human Rights Commission. Ironically, it came into effect during the Abuja years with Professor Awalu Yadudu pressing for that at that particular time. So there are basic things to worry about. The order doesn't say you are granted bail, go home. Go to a correctional facility, and you could pick him up at any time if you have justifiable reason for doing that. I'm saying this because it could be any person.
Yes.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is president today, but ask him where he was during the Nadeko years. He was in exile. Chief Anthony Nahoro was in exile. It wasn't a fugitive. A fugitive is somebody who is away from the law. Yes.
But it could happen to anybody.
It could happen to anybody. Anthony Nahoro fled. Professor Wole Soyinka, they were all taking the Nadeko route. So I think these are the things that people should worry about. If there is an offense take that person and prosecute that person, and then according to the law, let there be certainty that this is what is going to happen. And then to see how would you then engender interagency cooperation and collaboration when their officers are engaging in an affray, as it were.
Thank you.
You know, I don't know, just before we round off, I say it's 7:31 on the time. I'm wondering if we are following what is happening in the UK. The resignation of the British bank's, CEO, that's NatWest, over, her interaction with the press concerning a private citizen's bank's dealing. We're told that she resigned this morning. Now, the issues are the Niger Farage, bank details were disclosed to the BBC by NatWest. And NatWest had closed, his banks had closed his account for some reasons, which they say was political interest. And this morning, the NatWest resigned, because she had disclosed that information to the press.
I want to think you're raising this matter because it borders on ethical issues.
Ethical issues. Now,
these people do not go to the front pew of a church or a mosque to do yet. One little indictment sends them out of public office. This shows you that values matter. A society has to have its values.
In Ghana, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation has resigned and has now been arrested. What happened was there was an allegation that her domestic help stole, according to the figures, at least $1 million in cash, and then some thousands of euros, as well as Ghanaian cedis. And the question was, how did she come about that money? So the first step, when it was disclosed that that was what happened, she resigned. And now she's, of course, in the can to face a trial, obviously, to explain how she came about such an amount of money. So these are the issues. So basic things. Somebody commits an offense, arrest the person, prosecute it, have your facts so that you don't go toing and froing and then the case collapses.
While we make our evaluations, comparative evaluations with others, we should also be learning, one or two things, positive things, and applying them. Because I'm wondering, can a bank, for instance, disclose, its dealings with, for instance, one of our big names, in the industry, to the press? Is it something, Can a chief executive resign?
A bank has a fiduciary duty.
Exactly.
To its customers.
Exactly.
That's what the law says.
Exactly.
Chukwudi, thanks a lot for being around today.
Thank you so much.
See you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll get ahead with the second part of our conversation, which is on the conversion of petrol-powered vehicles, even diesel-powered vehicles, to auto gas.
Welcome back. I told you that to get the answers to the questions we posed to you when we started our conversation on conversion of vehicles to auto gas, that you can only get the answers on this program. We started this conversation yesterday, and of course we brought together those who ought to know, and indeed they explained and enlightened us more. But there are issues that evolved from our conversation yesterday, and that's the prompt for our continuation of today's program on conversion of vehicles to auto gas. We have our guests all seated here, but before we engage them, let's listen again to some of the high points from our experts yesterday. It's put together by our correspondent Joseph Otseng.
We have been promoting CNG powered vehicles for quite a while now, as much as also electric vehicles. And we already have manufacturers in the country that provide CNG powered vehicles. Innoson out of Innewi, also Oma out of Innewi, and now also TVS. They'll be providing three-wheeler CNG powered vehicles. So the momentum has already been on.
When you want to convert, it's just removal of some parts and replacing with others. but the ECU is already in our vehicle, whether we're using the white fuel or not, or using the gas. But the ECU, electronic control unit, is always there. The injectors are always injectors. You only change the injector so that you can have the one that can take in the liquefied petroleum gas or compressed natural gas, as the case may be. So the technical challenge is just not much. It's not much. And it's safer to use auto gases. It's very safe and it's very clean. And your engine will run longer than the engine life will be better, will last longer.
And once you get your car converted, you have to have stations that you refuel. For instance, Ifex Transport in 2019, we converted one of their buses to run on LPG. So they were traveling from Lagos to Ore. There was an Owando station in Benin that can refuel the car on gas. They had to drive 5 minutes out of the road to refuel. That 5 minutes was so much that the customers, the passengers were complaining. So now, if there are no stations along the route of this interstate, intercity movement, it should be even difficult.
We visited every single auto manufacturer in this country. They were not interested. They said, we're not getting the feelers that, yes, auto gas will be the thing in the country. That was what, stalled the entire program. They were not given that confidence that at some point subsidy will be removed.
All right, now those were excerpts from the first part of our conversation yesterday. So we have guests here with us in the studios, and it's our pleasure to welcome back to the conversation Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim, who is the National Coordinator of the National Gas Expansion Program. Dr. Ibrahim, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Also here with us in the studios is Alhaji Musa Takobi, is the National President of Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria. Alhaji Takobi, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Okay, we also have in our midst Engineer Amalala Wells Osomo, and his former technical assistant to the former Minister of State Petroleum and a team member of NGEP. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Balogun Adetola is also here with us. He's of Tolex Energy Limited, General Secretary, Association of Cooking Gas Skid Owners. And of course, he's a user of autogas.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right, so gentlemen, it's our pleasure to have you, and we are glad that Engineer Amalala Wells Osomo is here. Because yesterday I did reference the point, and in fact, on a number of occasions on the program, I had said that yes, there was a great deal of excitement when former President Muhammadu Buhari launched the auto gas program as part of the Decade of Gas, and the then Minister of State was our guest on a number of occasions. I'm talking about TB Praise Silva. And all of a sudden, it appears that we didn't quite get off ground zero. The coordinator of the National Gas Expansion Program already gave his own side as to what hobbled the full takeoff of that program. And now that subsidy has been removed, it seems that we are in dire straits, but also have an opportunity for a new deal. Why is it that there was a slow takeoff of the conversion to auto gas?
Okay, I want to think from my thinking, because I've worked with the chairman closely, when this program, began, when it emerged. And after the launching of the auto gas, we were hoping, since the government we were hoping government was going to engage, very, actively. Because we know that the conversion aspect of these automobiles are not cheap, and it's not something that the common Nigerian can afford easily. So there was that hope that there's supposed to be a kind of like incentive, like a subsidy, or that's not subsidy per se, but like a kind of incentive to help that conversion process to be, less expensive. I'm aware that there's a funding for that is earmarked to actually push this national gas expansion project, which is supposed to also help with conversion of these vehicles to gas, at a cheaper rate. But we so far, I know that funding has not been accessible, which should have driven this whole process. So for now, we are still, with this current administration, we are believing that such fundings will be accessible, and it will make, this whole conversion process for Nigerians easy.
All right, Engineer Malala, I'm sorry, I like to call your name because it reminds me of Amala, which is one of my favorite meals. So, Engineer Malala, I'm aware you are also a team member of NGEP as your side. I want to believe that you must have also had your appliances converted to autogas.
Yes, I did.
You have? What's your experience? Share with us.
Okay, so far, when you say autogas, that will be as regards not my vehicle per se. I have been able to convert, my generator I use at home to, that is since 2001, after the rollout of this program. 2021. So it's been a good experience because when I converted, at one point, I would be sincere, because then subsidy was still there. So at one point, there was this hike in the price of gas, which now became more expensive, than using the PMS, the petroleum premium spirit. But since the removal of subsidy, I tell you what, the use of cooking gas, to power my generator has been more cost effective. It's been less expensive, and it's been serving me right, compared to using PMS.
Why not your car as well?
My car, I'm going to do that soon. Hopefully, the only challenge about that for now is that we don't have a reasonable amount of CNG stations around Abuja, that you can easily fuel up. So so that poses a bit of challenge. I know that you can fuel up in CNG station, this NIPCO CNG station along the airport road. So I have actually decided, I was talking to a friend, because I have just one car, which is a Mercedes-Benz, that's actually giving me kind of an engine issue. So I've already ordered for an engine. The moment that is replaced, I intend to, convert to using the gas.
Okay. We'll come back to you in the course of the conversation. But let's bring in Alhaji Musa Metakobi, who is the president of the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria. Alhaji, tell us, are your members using autogas to power their trucks or their vehicles? And if they are, when did they start, and what's been the experience?
Well, actually, we started since 2010. But at that time, we are looking, because we are buying the PMS in a cheap price. Our mind is not much in the CNG and LNG. But actually, let's tell ourselves the truth. There are a lot of benefits in CNG and LNG. Let's look at the example now. If you use CNG from Port Harcourt down to Maiduguri, as you will spend 100,000 in PMS. So if you use CNG, what you spend is 50,000. As you look at it, it's half of what you buy PMS or diesel, the CNG and LNG. But in time of town service, intercity close, we are using the CNG. But in trailer, we are using LNG. This is the difference. If you want to go long journey, you have to use the LNG. But if you are going between 200 kilometers, 120, 30, you will use the CNG is better. So this is the difference. And if you look at for now, we have only in Abuja, we have no less than 5,000 vehicles that are using the CNG. In between Abuja, Lokoja, in between Abuja to Mina, in between Abuja to Nasarawa, in between Abuja, so just nearby. So, but long journey, we are using the LNG. That is the difference.
You are using LNG, not for long journey.
It's for long journey.
Okay, that's the LNG.
The LNG.
The CNG
is for just intercity or interstate.
Okay, what kind of vehicles use the LNG? Is it only trucks? Or assuming I want to get my vehicle on a long distance journey, I mean, I can drive from Port Harcourt to say Kano or Maiduguri. Can I put CNG in my vehicle, or can I put LNG in my vehicle, or it has to be CNG because maybe it's a 2-liter engine vehicle?
Sir, you are telling about a long journey. Long journey is better for LNG. It's just a town service, just a state nearby. You use the CNG to serve you because it's a matter of 200 kilometers. And this one you are talking about 500 or 1,000 kilometers, you use LNG, it will pay you. Because the LNG is liquid somehow. And the CNG is just like a cooking gas. The difference is just a little.
Where do your members get their supplies from?
Well, actually, we have a company from Brazil, which we are partners. But what I'm trying to draw the attention of the government, we don't have any assistance. We don't have.
No. Tell us. So you have a partnership with some Brazilian firm. What is the partnership about?
What are they doing?
It is about the kit.
Okay.
You know, if you don't have the kit, you cannot be able to convert any vehicle to CNG or LNG. To get the cylinder, it will be easy for you. But to get the kit is not easy. You go through the channel that the company. And even the kit is different. There is Italy, there is Brazil, there is China.
So which is the best of all this? I mean, which one? So you are dealing with
the best one is Italy.
Italy.
Yes.
How much?
Well, actually, I cannot tell you the exactly price because everything is going high. If the dollar high, actually the price it will be high.
Last time you bought it, or last time your members bought it, how much was it?
Yes, there is ones they are selling in Italy. It is up to 100 and something now.
100 and something thousand naira.
Yes.
Or dollar or.
No, for naira.
Okay.
But actually, the problem is that if you don't know, you are going outside to buy. It is the price we meet you buy. But I'm telling you in our own.
So this partnership you have with Brazil.
Yes.
This partnership, is it a partnership or they are actually supplying you and you are paying? Because if it is partnership, there must be give and take.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. Give and take in the sense of you must to deposit something in a business. It's not that they will just supply you free. You will deposit something that you will spend 100 millions. They would like you to deposit 50 millions.
Okay.
So the company will supply you. After you sell some limits, then you will now send another money to them. Then they will send another goods to you.
Okay, so now for me, one, we do not have enough conversion kits. That is the issue.
Yes.
But the cylinders, we can make the cylinders here.
The cylinder is easy to get. If you like, you can get now. If you need 1,000 cylinders, in between this morning to afternoon, you can be able to gather. Only in Abuja.
Only in Abuja?
Yes.
Okay. And the second, how many of your vehicles now are running on auto gas? Are running on CNG and LNG? Do you have that figure?
Well, actually, as last month, the report we have in our office, Only in Abuja, we have no less than 5,000. So those who are our members, but I cannot tell you other figure, is for our members. We have no less than 5,000 in Abuja.
Vehicles using CNG?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to you later on, Alhaji. Let's bring in Balogun Adetola into the conversation. My colleague Claire tended to suggest that you also use auto gas, aside from the fact that you are the secretary or the general secretary of the Association of Cooking Gas Skid Owners. What's been your experience as an auto gas user, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, to correct that fact, I'm not a user of auto gas, but I do use cooking gas to power my generator. And we have promoted the use of auto gas as well since the introduction of the removal of subsidy. And now, as an association, my chairman has already sent some of our members out for training on how to convert from petrol to auto gas. So what we do as an association is to deepen the usage of cooking gas and other gas in the Nigerian environment. So we have started converting generators long before now. Like Mr. Malala spotted out, I was the one that converted his generator to the gas he's using. And for my business, we've been using cooking gas long before now. So using it to power our generators has been tremendously cheap. Because one, it reduces the cost of maintenance of your generators. You don't have to do a lot of turnaround maintenance. That's number one. Number two, it reduces noise because it's not as noisy as the petrol usage. Number three, it's cheaper because even before the hike in gas price, it was extremely cheaper. You would save close to 40% of your money to use cooking gas to power your generator than using the petrol. But now that the subsidy is here, it's now cheaper again to use cooking gas. So even as of yesterday, I converted 15 generators. Now, the challenge about the auto gas, like you asked, because we've been partnering with people like some gas stations who have been into filling with their auto gas. Like a partner of ours, Loop Gas, who has such an equipment. The challenge has always been the conversion rate. Like Alhaji said this earlier, I think they are having a subsidized rate to convert at that 100,000 plus he mentioned. But as of today, it's cost close to 400,000
to do what?
To convert from your petrol to auto gas.
For your vehicle?
For your vehicle, yes.
What about the generator?
For the generator, it's not expensive. The generator is 35,000. You have your generator converted.
What is the engineering mechanics to have that done? Because you have different power, generating power. Generators with different capacity and all that.
Yeah, it's the generator angle is a very easy technique because it's just the carburetor that you're pulling off. The carburetor that comes with the generator is strictly for petrol, while you just buy a carburetor that comes with a gas converter. Now that carburetor has both petrol and a gas converter, which means you can easily switch to petrol and you can still use gas. I would have come with a sample of it.
Yeah, I wish you did.
Yeah, wait, Claire, that would have been fine. But I think I've seen some of that on the social media, and some persons advertising it and and displaying how it looks like. But tell us something. What is the capacity of generators that are easily convertible to dual fuel use?
From the generator from the 2,500 to the 500 kVA generator, because we've not been able to test run the one for the diesel conversion. Though I've had clients who has approached us for the conversion for the diesel generator. But as long as it's a petrol generator, there are two sizes of the carburetor because they are universal carburetors that are in all the generators, just two capacities. So we have two sizes of these converter carburetors, which does both cooking gas and you can use CNG as well to power this particular. But CNG is very sensitive. It's not what you can handle easily by any person because of the bar rate. The bar rating for CNG is higher than LPG. So we're still competing with how people use LPG for the safety But you know, CNG is more volatile because it has a higher bar rate.
No, please explain this to our viewers. You know, you've been talking about cooking gas. Cooking gas is what is also known as LPG. That is liquefied petroleum gas.
Yes.
Now you are saying that for generator, you cannot use CNG, which is compressed natural gas, because of its higher rate of volatility. How does a user distinguish between CNG and LPG? Hey, just go. You say, bring that cylinder. You just put it quack, and then the next thing.
No, not really, sir. Just to correct that note. Yes. We can use both CNG and LPG for the use for the generator. We can use either of the gases. The issue between LPG and CNG is just the volatility and the readiness to have availability in the market. LPG is readily available everywhere in the market.
That's cooking gas.
Cooking gas, yes. Like for our association, what we do is to deepen the usage of cooking gas. So we even go into the local communities where people cannot, just like the challenge Allergy spotted, that there's no ready points for them to refill their gas. Unlike LPG is already penetrating into every nook and crannies of the country. So we deepen the usage of that, and because it is easy for our members to handle, because one thing you have to consider first is safety in the usage of any of these products. So what we do is promote the usage of that, because that is easier for us to handle, because the CNG, you have to go to the auto gas station to fill it, which is not readily available everywhere in the country. But for the one we have had total experience of, because you know the locals is a product you're just introducing, so you have to as well train them on how to handle it. You know, because of the the converter, you have a cylinder, you have the hose, and you have the carburetor. You know.
Let me ask you. I'm going to ask you two things. Okay. You see, the whole thing about CNG, LNG, LPG.
Yeah.
You understand? We're taking them all at once.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I mean, we've just understood that CNG, I mean, because of the points, unavailability of the points, I mean, shouldn't we keep that aside and now let the focal point of conversation now, focal point of publicity now be, can we deepen use of LPG? Can we begin to see, let's say how we can do our generators, converter generators, you know, and that will even go, you know, deeper in terms of, you know, use, in terms of catchment. A lot of people will understand the implications of that. Yeah. That's one. And then secondly, yesterday, one of our guests from the UK, he joined us, Olajuwon joined us via Zoom, and talked about the quality of, you know, conversions done. And I'm going to ask you, how were you trained?
Yeah, thank you. The training has been ongoing for a while. Well, for the generator training, it's because the conversion is a very simple conversion. It's what every roadside mechanic who repairs generators can easily convert, because the equipment that you use in converting for generators is quite easy. It's just a carburetor. You know, it's just losing off the carburetor and fixing a new carburetor that has conversion, and just make sure that there's no leakage at all the ends of the converter.
And you still have your fuel tank.
You still have the fuel tank. Yeah, because you can either use dual, the carburetor can use dual
energy.
Power energy. Yeah, that both for fuel and the gas. It's only that the gas is cheaper, it's cleaner, you know, it's even safer from our own experience. You know, but the one for the car, like you said, is what we are still going on training for. My chairman just sponsored about 3 of our members for training in Ghana to go and learn how to convert it. That is for the one for the car. But because the equipment, most especially the cylinder, it's very expensive. It's the most expensive item, and there are about 4 components in doing this. So our members just went for training. So they are not yet back; they are still on training. So because we promote the usage of this. So because we want to have the first penetration in the market, to have many people come to us and...
Okay. We will charge you for that.
Well, that's, I mean, it's clear, it's inevitable. They are promoting an idea, which gas penetration was one of the goals under the gas expansion program as part of the decade of gas. I imagine so. Reduce pollution, ultimately. I don't know whether these generators are still smoke all over the place, whether they are, those ones are using gas or otherwise. Some of them say, oh, you go to some locations.
I don't think there'll be flame if you use the gas.
When you use the gas, there's no flame.
There's no flame.
I'm not talking about flame. I'm talking about smoke.
Smoke.
No smoke.
No smoke.
No smoke.
It's cleaner. It's relatively smokeless.
Yes.
Oh, fine. That's great. All right, Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim.
It's more safe.
We kept you silent for a while because yesterday you had a field day. A number of issues have also come up, but I just want, of course, get you into the conversation now by, of course, reminding our viewers one of the things you said yesterday, that for the auto gas conversion process, the low-hanging fruit is LPG. I would like you to get more into that and see why LPG is a low-hanging fruit and CNG and LNG could be a long haul.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me once again. Let me clarify, some few misconceptions before I take on your question. Every single internal combustion engine can use both LPG, CNG, and LNG. Whether it is 1 kVA or 1 million kVA, they can all use. The only difference is this. Just like he said, LPG, which is a blend of butane and propane, which we commonly call the cooking gas, comes in cylinders, right? And it's much easier. The vapor pressure is a bit, low, and the internal pressure in the cylinder is also low compared to that of CNG. CNG is about 250 bar, which is quite high. However, the mechanism, for the operation of an internal combustion engine is such that it can use any member of the fossil family, right? Whether LPG, CNG, or LNG. The differences are very clear. LPG you can use directly from the storage tank into the engine. Like you said, you just remove the carburetor and put another one, and in the next 10-15 minutes you run it. In the case of CNG, it is the storage mode, because of the high pressure, which comes about 250 bar. Obviously, you need what you call a cascade, right? Now, the cascade, then you need another device that reduces the pressure that goes into the internal combustion engine. That is all the difference. So it's very expensive to get a cascade. And finally, in the LNG, you need what you call a cryogenic tank. Okay, from the cryogenic tank, you can actually generate CNG from LNG in situ. So every combustion engine, whether it's a small generator, a mid-sized generator, a big, truck, can use all the three, gases, LPG, CNG, and LNG. Now, why did I say LPG is the lowest hanging fruit? It's because LPG for 70 years have been used for automobiles. And in fact, in different parts of the world, depending on their own policies, they use LPG, CNG, or LNG. If you go to United States uses mostly LPG for their trucks. Even the big trucks, LPG, the same cooking gas, yes, cooking gas. But in their own, it's not a blend of, in Nigeria, the LPG we use is a blend. I will try to simplify it. It's about 70% butane and 30% propane. Now, propane is slightly more inflammable. Okay, that's why we blend it, because we want to make sure that the cylinders we use in the country, because you have all sorts of cylinders, you have issues. So we decided to blend it, 70% butane and 30% propane. But ideally, propane can be used 100%, for cooking. In fact, most of the cylinders you have around in the country are propane rated. Okay, so which means that you can actually use LPG for trucks, whether long distances or short. The only thing is the storage capacity. That is why we recommend the use of LNG. Okay, so LPG is the lowest hanging fruit for this program because we want to kind of diffusion of an alternative energy, all over the country within the shortest possible time. And it's because the people that are currently involved in this process, are not well informed. That is why the focus is on CNG. CNG equipment, LNG equipment are capital intensive. Okay. But in we are in 2021, we carried out a survey and we found out that 9,000 retail outlets in the country can qualify for what you call, can migrate almost immediately into what you call the multi-fuel system, whereby every single retail outlet, petrol station that you have now, that has the 2.5 or 1 ton LPG tank from where they're selling to people who come with their small cylinders, all you just need to do, bury the LPG tank, run a hose, put a dispensing pump, and you already have auto gas in your station with the minimum cost.
When you say,
yes,
thank you, because you said this yesterday and I'm happy that you're repeating it today. When you say all you have to do is, you said just bury your tank. I know that that's a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
Well, the filling station, when you go to the filling station, the grounds are slabbed. So you have to break the concrete. You have to ascertain where your other underground tanks are buried.
Sure.
And configure, be sure that you can actually have a good fit.
Yep.
Who's going to bear that cost?
I'm just trying to simplify the thing.
Okay.
For the country to take maximum benefit, we are in a state of emergency as far as energy is concerned. Gasoline is out of the price of gasoline has skyrocketed. So we need an alternate fuel that we can have. It doesn't mean that from the retail outlet in the petrol stations, you have a surface LPG tank that you cannot run a hose, and you don't have to bury it. I'm just talking about safety.
Safety, that's
you understand? So obviously there are cost implications. But if you look at the cost of introducing what do you call it, LPG, auto LPG, gas in your station, compared to that of CNG, is infinitesimal. It is very, very small. And we can immediately migrate into making auto LPG available all over the country instantaneously.
Using the 9,000 stations, you said,
exactly, yes,
that are available in all parts of the country, or let's say in different parts of the country.
Yes. In addition to that, in fact, part of the model we developed in the NGEP is that we now have what you call some retailers of LPG. The next model we have for domestic LPG is what you call, you just have a rack and then you have cylinders. And in your vehicle, you just take a cylinder, put it in the boot, you key it in, you run automatically. You don't really have to even to go to the filling station when the time comes. Another model we're bringing in order to,
say that again.
Good. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to eliminate those people who are using, we call them LPG retailers. You go to a small little shed and you see somebody with a 50 kg cylinder upside down. By gravity, he's trying to fill a 5 kg cylinder from a 50 kg cylinder. We're trying to discourage that because of safety reasons. We're now going to have these cubicles, and racks where the cylinders are grouped in such a manner that just go in there, you remove different sizes of cylinders, 2.5 kg, 5 kg, whatever it is. And the vehicles, when they come, they just take, like for instance, the keke. You just take a 2.5 kg cylinder, you put it, you hook it, but in the very safe area in the keke, and that's it. You have your LPG
means keke.
Yes.
Keke, not keke. Keke.
We've developed all these models, and they're working. So to get back to what we're saying, for the country, LPG is the fastest, is the lowest hanging fruit we can have today, because we already have in virtually most of the retail outlets in the country, the LPG storage tanks. They're already there, where people go 5 kg cylinder, so that you can do conversion of vehicles, trucks and all others for LPG. It's a lot cheaper, it's available, it's been used for 70 years. It's a mature technology.
But the conversion for vehicles, because I know Mr. Adetola here said it's easy to convert for generators. But for cars, conversion for LPG, converting cars in readiness for LPG, is it the same process?
It's a similar process. It's not as complicated as converting a vehicle that runs on gasoline to CNG. Always remember, CNG has above 250, pressure of 250 bar. It requires a cascade, LPG is a standard, the same LPG storage tank you use in your house, they also use in the car. You understand?
So can somebody like Mr. Detola...
It is trained. And that is what we have done. He told me they are going to Ghana.
For CNG?
I'm coming. Let me just explain to you. We have enough training facilities in the country. So what did we do in the NGP? And that's why I'm saying it was because we're all working in silos. And most of the NDAs were not really committed over the last 3.5 years, because the body language was that, look, forget about this gas thing. Subsidy will never be removed anyway. It will not work. It will not succeed. In fact, we had internal crisis, where literally most of the members of the NGP just abandoned, and walked away. Which only very few guys, remain behind. Out of 16, we remain only 3, and then I had to make do, with the secretariat staff, right? Because people just felt that, look, why are you wasting your time? And we did this for 3.5 years, no budget, nothing. It was so difficult. So what we did was that we developed a curriculum, a training curriculum. And we now went around, we partnered with the Nigerian Board for Technical Education, Nigerian National University Commission. We partnered with most of the universities, and we shared with them the curriculum we have. We visited some of their laboratories and workshops to ensure that they have equipment that you can use in training people, for conversion. We now got into partnership also with the Nigerian Institute for Transport Technology in Zaria. We visited them, we had meetings with them, because they have workshops in different parts of the country. We attempted to partner with the Nigerian NADDC. Like I said, they were not forthcoming because their focus was actually on electric vehicles, okay? We partnered with NASENI because NASENI has about 8 institutes. It's amazing what we discover. Nigeria has, a plethora of high-tech, equipped laboratories that we can roll out for training within the next 3 months. But the shocking thing, they're all there doing absolutely nothing.
So they can be energized.
They can be energized. And we have the personnel. Because let me give you an example. Since we started the, auto gas project in Benin, 10,000 vehicles are running. All of them were converted by Nigerians. Dangote has done 15,000 by Nigerians, okay? We have the engineers and the technicians in country, but they're private. But what we're trying to do is to create what we call a critical mass, so that we can get as many people trained as we can. But if the body language is that, look, why waste your time? Nobody is going to do anything about this.
But the body language is changed now.
It's changed, but it could be a lot faster. Because beyond still all the meetings and so on and so forth, there still hasn't come out. There's still no clear-cut direction.
What should start? Because already it's obvious. The story that Engineer Wells talked about his car having an engine that we know he's just trying to make it up. He has not been able to have his car converted, so he needs his car.
No, he hasn't converted. Not unable.
No, yes, he hasn't because he's unable. That's what.
Not unable. He hasn't. I don't know. He's able. I see the man is looking clean.
Well, Abinishio, you have not converted your car. So there's a problem. Yeah. So there's a problem. It's not just them. So before you reach out to people like us, so what should start? What's the first step now?
The first step is there's no clear-cut direction from government about which agency is to handle the entire project. Is it the NGEP that I chair for now? What is the fate of the NGEP? Everybody is like, well, let's watch and see. Right. So if you don't have a clear direction, there's very little you can do. We've decided to rest most of our activities because we're waiting for further directives to know what is going to happen. Now,
so now you are just...
Oh, yeah, we're just waiting.
Sit down and look.
Exactly.
That's what the NGEP is doing.
That's exactly what NGEP has decided to do. Because we've not been invited to any of the meetings, whether by the Council of State or by the team that is discussing with Labour, so we don't know what is happening. And of course, we just continue waiting. But let me not...
Is NGEP private? Is it private?
No, it's not. It's not.
It's set up by government.
Of course, sure.
I want to write on that and very quickly. the National Council of State doesn't discuss issues of this nature. I'm sure you were referring to the National Economic Council.
Sorry, National Economic Council.
And
yes.
also perhaps the Nigerian Governors Forum that has also been on this. But when Claire says, look, NGEP isn't a private entity.
No.
Set up by government.
Yes.
I don't know in which ministry.
Petroleum.
It is domiciled in petroleum.
Yes.
Now, as part of the body language,
yes,
if you may, did you get into this typical interministerial and interagency rivalry? Say, who are you? This is not about. You come to my ministry. This is not my priority. You go to another agency, maybe a meeting. That's industry, trade, and investment. You say, what is it we're talking about? We don't know what you are talking about. Did you encounter that?
Well, you know, the good thing is that we have all our reports out there, okay, and we've been, what do you call it, obviously, you know, everything that is required for the committee is there. So until you are invited, you understand, to say, okay, look, listen, let us listen from you. You know, the reason why I keep talking about a clear direction is government doesn't operate like that. You just mentioned something, that you can have a minister who says, look, this is not my priority, and that is exactly what happened in the last administration, you know, and say, okay, look, I have different priorities, or I have different mode, you know, that I'm going to employ in carrying out my own program. Maybe it might not even be NGP any longer. It could be a new, you know, what do you call it, you know, a strategy, you know, and until that comes, we'll continue to be in a flux. Now, let me talk about the funding you spoke about, 250 billion that my colleague spoke about. Okay, what happened? Suddenly, we were told by the CBN that 250 billion was available for the NGP program. So we went through the whole intervention criteria, and we wrote the central bank that, look, listen, the people that designed this product do not understand the oil and gas industry in general. They do not even understand the National Gas Expansion Program as it is so designed. Therefore, it was faulty. Let us get in touch, let us sit down with you, the CBN, and advise you on how appropriately we can retweak this particular product that can fit for purpose. The purpose being to be able to get a lot of people to access and build infrastructure around auto gas in the country. The CBN just merely ignored us and said, you know what, we have designed the product. If any of your members or anybody who's interested should come and take it. What is it? Or you go and bring your grandmother's birth certificate to be able to access some of the funds. You know, the conditions were so much that nobody will ever access the fund. Nobody accessed that fund in 3.5 years.
Dr. Ibrahim, you know, these are just shocking revelations. And most shocking to me is the fact that, you know, that MDAs and the disposition of present, you know, managers of this, supposedly managers of this initiative, displayed. Because the former minister himself, like Kingsley indicated, was here. In fact, the day, I think the groundbreaking of what was done in one of the petrol stations in Abuja, it was taken on NTA. The technical assistants were here to ramp up support for this initiative. So it's really surprising that this is happening. A laudable project like this is happening. So for my question to you now will be, you want a clear cut, how will I say it now, designation of responsibilities. From whom now? From whom now? Because we need that to happen. If that doesn't happen, nothing happens.
You know, it's not about me.
Yes, I know.
It's about the country.
Yes.
You know, it's not even about NGEP. It's about Nigeria. It's about the country. Okay. Every new administration has its own strategy and plans for implementing programs. You know, every administration also prioritizes certain programs over others. Okay. So it's left for the current administration to say, okay, look, listen, this is our program, this is our strategy in achieving this program. That's all, you know. And you won't ask me that question because I'm not one of the drivers of the
because the hurdles that you have also raised, hopefully they won't be there by the time the present administration takes the posture to drive this. And I think the government should be interested now that the subsidy is gone. Because not everybody. Well, I would have long, had my generator converted, and thankfully now I have Mr. Detola here, so I'll just knock at his door, So I have you to deal with. I don't.
well, that's in terms of policy consideration. I think it's important to drill further into the fund that you said was with the CBN, 250 billion. That money, was it solely for auto gas or available for the general expansion gas program, gas expansion program in the country? Because again, yesterday, if you, our viewers who have been with us since this program started, you would have heard the excerpt from one of our contributors yesterday, who was in London, via Zoom, saying that, look, investment in gas dispensing stations is something that we need to worry about. And I also asked you, when you say, all right, those who are already selling LPG now can bury it, it's going to cost money, and of course there will be a lot of, there will come to all those regulatory issues subsequently that you have to satisfy and so on and so forth. And for somebody to invest, you have to be sure. So if the government, as it were, is trying to scratch its head and say, where are we going to get the money from to drive this process? You don't work with the CBN. We'll try to get them for today's conversation. Is that money still available to say, look, 250 billion, is it for auto gas conversion or was it for the entire gas expansion program?
Okay, it is for the entire gas expansion program. But Kingsley, I will even tell you, the moment that fund was no longer available, but it wasn't easily accessible, we left government and we decided to work with the private sector. As I speak with you, we have over 20 gas compression stations in different parts of the country financed by private, not government. We just told them, we said, look, this is a very good business opportunity. Go in there, source for funding, right? And then, and they are going ahead anyway. Retail brought in over 2,300 CNG fuel vehicles. Most of the private sector people, just on their own, they knew it was imminent that this was going to happen anyway. So it is not more of government bringing, actually the money, 250 billion. It's very small for the entire gas expansion program in country, because there are some people that might want to do what you call the mini LNG, project in country. They're not the big ones that, for export. There are several of those that are what you call mother, compression stations, okay, where from the pipeline you do compression stations and so on and so forth. But let me sound a caveat here, which is very, which we need to be aware of. So the money isn't really a problem. It's just about incentives. If government says, look, listen, if you bring in all this equipment into the country, because of the urgency, certain duties, taxes, duty surcharge are gone, people will not wait for government funding.
Which equipment?
The gas equipment. Like we were saying yesterday, you did a daughter station in a retail outlet, $100,000, $120,000, you bring in, additional 40% will be for your, duty, tax, and so on and so forth. These are equipment that are not made in the country. So if you want to incentivize them and remove these duties, people with their own fund will bring this money in. But just for me not to forget, because it's very critical. So when we started working, with the private sector, we now started encouraging what you see today, the small 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kV generators being converted using, cooking gas, was because of what we did. We had stakeholders engagement in every state of the federation. We encouraged the private sector. We told them this was going to happen. So you guys move. We worked with the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME, to sensitize its members, and this is exactly what they did. So they started migrating, retrofitting, changing their small generators to run. Then suddenly, we realized something, that kerosene was no longer available to Nigerians, to the masses. Okay? A lot of people moved again into using gas instead of kerosene and firewood. Right. So the large chunk, the volume of LPG available in the market started shrinking because new entrants, demand was now, outpacing supply. Okay. This is further going ahead with now generators coming into the fray. Initially, it was the entire volume of the kerosene that was out. okay, replaced by LPG. Today, gasoline is out, again being replaced by LPG. There will be crisis if action is not taken immediately.
What kind of action?
Exactly.
You please just keep that question. When we come back from this break, we will allow you to answer that question. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. Let's take a short break now. All right, welcome back. We are watching Good Morning Nigeria. Let me bring in Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed. Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed, you can take your question now.
So, when kerosene went out of reach of the common man, obviously, we at that point encouraged the use of gas. So people started using gas. So that population of Nigerians that were using kerosene now moved into the use of cooking gas, LPG. As we now started, as the subsidy is removed now, the volume of PMS that we are saying we have saved, that is gasoline, is being replaced by LPG, which means the pressure on LPG is growing. And it's a simple economic policy principle, supply and demand. Unless we get additional supply of LPG to take on or to satisfy the new entrants into the LPG demand market, the price of LPG will start skyrocketing. When it does, then there will be no comparative advantage for anybody, to switch over to auto gas or even gas for small-scale generators and use.
Okay.
How? Because this is a kernel. I'm saying this. I just remembered now, in terms of either generators or their manufacturing plants. It must have been about 20 years or so ago. There was a company called GasLink that constructed gas pipelines to the industrial estates in Lagos. I remember there's Oregon, there's also at Isolo for their manufacturing plants to use gas. And then some generators eventually were now converted to use of gas as part of the supply. But this is the issue. We are hailing gas, but we know the experience of thermal power stations in Nigeria. In other words, thermal power stations are those gencos that drive their generator, their turbines using gas pricing, gas supply, and all kinds of issues. How did the NG gas expansion program try to do with this? Because there have been shut-ins by gencos on account of squabbles over either supply, as I said, or over pricing. And now Dr. Ibrahim is drawing our attention to a critical point so that Nigerians don't move into auto gas, and then suddenly we see the price of gas is now maybe 12.5 is now 25,000. You say, oh, which kind of wahala we can't do so? So how do we get around this, Engineer Malala?
Okay, I would have rather my chairman talk about that. But
all right, if that's your option, but that's fine because we're getting pressed for time. No, but let's get your take, and then he can also weigh in.
Okay, so I'm going to just the highlight. I won't go into details about it. Like you're aware, the NGP is there, and then somehow under it you have the decade of gas was also declared. Now there's a project called Decade of Gas, which is focused on three aspects of this whole gas challenges. One is to ensure that our gas arrears are paid. And then the other one is to ensure that we have enough gas supply in the country. And then the third is gas to power. So this is a project that's actually going to, that's going to be part of what will, bring in more gas supplies into, because the IOCs are part of this group. So currently that's being worked around. But we have only started. So I think hopefully, if that project is successful, we are not going to have such crisis. I think that's all I can say, my chairman. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. You see, there are two pathways in the Nigeria's hydrocarbon industry: the domestic market and the international market, you know, they're not mutually exclusive. They're actually mutually inclusive, because we need to participate in the international, you know, hydrocarbon market. But we should not do it at the expense of the domestic market, which is energy. Every molecule of gas that we export out of this country, as far as I'm concerned, we're exporting development, we're exporting employment, we're exporting resources. Every molecule of gas you have can give you petrochemicals, can give you pharmaceuticals, can give you textiles, can give you power generation. So every time you see we're celebrating LNG, Train 7, and so on and so forth, to me, it's very hilarious, because we need all those molecules in country. So what do we need to do to avert, you know, the crisis you probably are talking about? You know, 20, 30 years ago, some of us carried out some studies. We knew that the IOCs would start migrating out of Nigeria and moving deep offshore, okay, because they say that onshore activities were becoming, you know, unfriendly to them. So there are a lot of onshore facilities that are there where oil is being produced and gas is being flared. So we said allow third-party access to those gas, to the gases that have been flared, so that they can do mini LNG, they can do CNG. Okay. All you just need to do is to provide what's called fiscal incentives. And we keep repeating, right? And people can now set up additional mini LNGs in country and CNG compression facilities in country, so that while you're exporting through your NLNG, Nigerians will have gas, you know, in country. But you need fiscal, you have to tweak the fiscal regime to encourage and support this particular activity.
Okay.
Before
yes,
Clay say, now the power.
Our time now.
You see, the power thing you are talking about under the NGP, program, we also have a power initiative where every local government will have 1 megawatt of power. Have you started it? We did it in Owaza, in Abia State, you know, where somebody will, you know, go and install a 1 megawatt and distribute. We have such programs, and that is what I mentioned yesterday. Afia Babalola University, 5 megawatts. The university is generating 5 megawatts, again under the NGEP program. And it's because of that, HT is going to have an airport very soon. 20 megawatts in Kano, Mamuda Industries, 11 megawatts, you know, in Aspira. The 50 megawatts that's coming up in Maiduguri is part of it. NNPC today has 11 megawatts. So because you can move the molecules either by cryogenic tanks or cascades. So you can have these pockets of thermal plants all over the country. But we need to store gas production in country.
Yes, thank you. Let's quickly. We have just less than 6 minutes really to end this conversation. And because you talked about fiscal incentives, I'd like to, you know, bring in Elijah Musame Takubi here, because we don't just expect that with the, you know, with this initiative, of course, cost of fuel, you know, cost of fueling your car, you would have saved, you know, much from that. But we also expect a kind of spillover effect, spillover benefits from this initiative, including reduction of cost of transport, which is key, which is the biting, you know, point for a lot of civil servants, a lot of workers, and that's where written comes in. Now, will this lead to your members? I don't know about other, from your members, will this lead to people, you know, people having to pay less in terms of transport, or do you need fiscal incentives to enable you, you know, make ends meet?
You see, Dr. Ibrahim says something about these our vehicles that are using the CNG, and actually now would not import any vehicles to the country without dual, either LNG and diesel, or CNG and PMS. So that is the only area where urging the government to assist us for waiver. and we will try our best.
What kind of vehicles are you seeking to import? You said 10,000.
Yes, you see, we are looking how to bring in the Korokwe, this is shuttle bus, and the medium bus, then the high capacity. We have three.
Is that not what it's called?
Korokwe is the shuttle bus. Those shuttle that used to take only 7 persons. Just is. So,
okay, I've seen some of them branded with some of these names.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I believe that we can be able to try our best in that site. But we need...
Well, I don't know, Alaji, because we are pressed for time, let me throw this in. Because yesterday we were talking about local auto assembly plants. Can they not fill this gap, or at least have this? Because that then becomes an incentive for them to either expand their plants, engage more hands, and so on and so forth. Instead of you just importing, if you are importing, that's forex going out. Yes. So if you make the auto assembly plants, and there are many of them, well, there are some of them in the country, it not seems very well known and all that. And so they say, look, is what do you call it, Korokwe that you want now? Is Korokwe just convert you change. I think that when you have an order, for instance, let's say 7,000, not 10,000 now. Okay, you know, that's their business decision anyway. But can't you source for this locally?
Just to clarify, Kiyo Erukwe, and you help me do that. It's the tactics deployed by these bus conductors to ensure that the shuttle buses are filled, and all that. That's what it means in Yoruba. Yeah, am I correct?
You're very correct.
Okay, so it's.
So let me answer. My brother, you see, the problem is that our companies in Nigeria, now you order ordinary 1,000 vehicles. Before you can get the 1,000 vehicles, you collect loan from bank, it will take you no less than 5 or 6 months. If care is not taken, even it will reach a year. Because there are a lot of companies, ministries that order from the same innocent or other companies. So that is the problem. And this one that I'm talking to you, you can get the vehicle down to this country within 40 days.
That's fine. Alaji, thank you. But also tell your members, you can rally your members to recognize that what you are going to get the vehicle in 40 days or less, actually those are jobs that you are exporting. Yes. So you will not get people who have money in their pocket to board your Korokwe when you then bring in these vehicles, because they don't have work.
Sir, we have, you see, in 2,300 and I think vehicles, we agree, which is already they are working, is from company here in our country.
Fine.
But we know the time it takes us before these vehicles start coming. And the bank that loan us, the loan is going on. So by the time you start working with the vehicle, it will end zero. You have only worked for the company. You have not get anything.
Okay.
Because the interest is accumulating.
Okay. All right. Alaji, I get your point. That secure credit transaction. What you need for your members will be to work out your credit transactions in a way so you make it a tripartite arrangement. You have your manufacturer, yourself, you're there, then you also have your financier. Everyone is tied in. Don't let me not give you free financial advice, but you get that. So Balogun Adetola, let's have your take. Dr. Ibrahim drew attention to the fact that you have, according to him, a plethora of opportunities, faculty, and locations for training of hands.
I said that they are there doing nothing because they are not well funded. Now, our members, because we have these key tanks all over the country, which we want to take advantage of. But when we get to those institutes which Alhaji has highlighted, though I never knew as much as he has highlighted, but he has as well said it that they are not well funded.
No. He said they are idle because they are not being patronized.
No,
exactly.
That's what he said. He's here. He said they are not being patronized. When it says they're idle, that relatively idle. That's what I'm saying. Because if you patronize it, like we're talking about Alhaji now, if the assembly look, how did America try to get out of its economic downturn when Michigan and other car manufacturing towns and cities were in the doldrums? Patronage.
Exactly.
Patronage.
He just said he's not even aware to the extent that Dr. Ibrahim had said, which means you didn't even make your research.
So we did. Actually, you know, before the integration, because I've been always in discussion with Mr. Malala, who has always given us insight into what NGEP is doing and all that. But the integration of the training, I mean, the cost effectiveness and the expertise, as per today, that's what brought us to the fact that, because we are talking about what
he said we have the expertise, we have the in-house expertise, we have the in-country expertise, we have all that is required.
But now that we know, because I'm going to have a discussion with him after this program.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, yesterday, Alhaji, I mean, from a layman's perspective, we raised the question: our mechanics, local mechanics, how well do they handle, how well are they able to maintain your vehicles that use gas?
Perfect. We have that mechanics, such in every state. Every local government you go, you get them, because they are well trained for that.
Does it require special training for the mechanics as well?
Yes, there is. We used to do it state by state. Then we at the federal level will train state. The state will train the local government.
No. What I'm saying, look, I'm sure each of us will have our own trusted mechanics, depending on the car you use. Without my trusted mechanic, if I convert my vehicle, can he fix
the same mechanic?
The same mechanic, or must it be your own specialized mechanic?
Most of those mechanics, they are specials. But the problem of mechanic, those mechanics have fear of God, is the fairness. Even your trusted mechanic can do for you.
No. He has never done so.
I
will mention his name. Bolanle.
He's not talking about your own.
He said he was pointing to me.
Trusted mechanic.
He's pointing to me.
Not your own. He's talking in generic terms. A trusted mechanic.
No. He said that's your. He said that's not. Please go ahead. Yes.
The problem we have with mechanic, most of the time, if you bring your car or your bus or your truck or lorry, at the time is not in good months, or you need money, and the money you bring is not enough for him to do what you want to do. So definitely he will work on you.
It will work on the client. No, stop pointing at me, Alhaji.
Be careful.
No. But listen, it depends. It depends on the individual, as I said.
Exactly.
Fear of God. Look, I've had a mechanic. His boss was my previous mechanic, and he took over. And I've had it for 3 decades and counting. 3 decades and counting. I mean, his name is Bolanle, so it's not. It depends on the mechanic, and you can give him the vehicle to go and work on. He will tell you what the issues are. Not every one of them has the fear of God. I agree with you, but if a guy has worked with you for over 3 decades and you trust him, what else do you need? There are persons who have similar stories. These are guys who were trained. I'm sure if you remember in those days on Apapa who showed the expressway just before Intra Motors. You know, Intra Motors, just before Oshodo, I think where that last mile is now.
Yes.
That's where that Japanese vehicle, their boss was trained in Japan, came and then transferred the skills. So, as well as the ethics.
The vehicles, the mass transit vehicles in Lagos, I'm just wondering, those BRT buses, are they being powered by gas or diesel?
Well, it's diesel.
Diesel.
Yeah, because I'm the vice chairman of the Lamata buses from Oshodi to Abuja, which MC is the chairman. In that, we used to partner with the Lagos State Gas. But later, one day, they say somehow we now come and we complain and they accept our complaints, we
What's
can
somehow?
go.
We need to.
You see, somehow, I could not be able to tell you somehow what he means. It's his underlying statement. So what I'm trying to tell you is that you can get gas from company on your own to pay. If those who are giving you gas, sometime they will give you 100 liters. You go, it's no more than 80 liters. So we sort thing out between we and the company. But actually, in running the buses, there's nothing wrong because it's a cashless.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, what we're talking about is the fuel that powers those buses. Those will be prime candidates for conversion, I imagine.
Yeah, you see, we cannot convert the buses on our own until if the Lagos state government direct us to do so.
Exactly.
Because
so how do we get the key in, the buy in of this? We have 2 minutes, Dr. Mohammed.
It's a policy. It's a policy. I told you we developed an executive order, as far back as 2021.
Okay.
To be clear that by 2025, every prime mover in this country must be dual fuel.
Okay.
Anything that is imported into the country must either be 100% gas, fueled, or dual fuel. It's government policy. It's government policy, it's government regulation, it's government incentives, it's government fiscal policy, and so on and so forth. Everything is still government. It's clear.
All right, so that was a draft executive order that never saw the light of the day. So it can always be retrieved and then represented, since we have a new administration, as part of the composite ideas to ensure that we tide over the initial teething problems with regard to the removal of fuel subsidy. Claire?
Yes, a very good point to also end our conversation on the auto gas conversion. Very enlightening, very educative, if you ask me. I've learned so much from our conversation, and I would like to, and I want to say that it won't stop here. This is a developing conversation for us. We will be taking it a notch higher. But let me appreciate our guests who have come in to even deepen our conversation on this very important topic. I want to begin to appreciate Engineer Amalala Wells Osomo, former technical assistant and a team member of NGEP. Thank you very much for joining us. Alhaji Musa Meitakobi, National President, Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, Britain. Thank you very much for joining us. And I also have Balogun Adetola of Tolex, General Secretary Association of Cooking Gas Skid Owners, who's come to share his experiences. And of course, I won't forget the chairman of NGEP, Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim, who has really enlightened us and deepened our conversation. Thank you, Adetola. Dr. Ibrahim, thank you very much. All right, that's it for our conversation, but let's check out what's happening in the world of sports from our sports desk.
Enyimba and Remo Stars have been handed tough opponents in the first round of the CAF Champions League. Nigerian champions Enyimba are paired with Ali Benghazi of Libya. The People's Elephants will travel away for the first leg. The reverse fixture will then hold in Aba a week later. The winner of the contest will face either Cotton Sport Garua of Cameroon or Cote d'Ivoire's ASEC Mimosa in the next round. The country's other representatives in the competition, Remo Stars, will take on Ghanaian Premier League champions Miedama. The first leg is scheduled for Ghana, while the second leg will take place at the Remo Star Stadium, Ikenne. In England, Nottingham Forest have signed Swindon forward Anthony Elanga from Manchester United on a 5-year deal. The 21-year-old moves on from Old Trafford with Forest, believed to have paid United a fee of £15 million. Elanga had been with United since he was 12 and achieved the first-team breakthrough in 2021, reaching 55 appearances before Forest stepped in. Elanga had been on the United's pre-season tour of the USA, but travelled back to complete the move and become Forest's second summer signing after defender Ola Aino.
Hi Forest fans, Anthony Elanga here. I can't wait to show you who I really am on that City ground, and looking forward to see you all. Take care.
That's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria today. As always, we appreciate your being with us. Tomorrow is another day, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, look after yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
Not just look after yourselves, be patriotic. Join the NTA in our campaign against rape and rapists. Do the right thing always and help our country be better. I am Claire Adelabu Josa. Bye-bye for now.